Which double oak bourbon is the best? We're gonna figure it out today.
Hi, I'm Jonathan.
Hi, I'm Taryn, and welcome to Whiskey Break.
Yeah, today we're gonna find the best double oaked bourbon in our collection. We are huge fans of the double oaked category in general. We think it just brings a lot of like really good sweetness and notes that we tend to like. But we have a ton of options ranging from somewhat cheap and really available to pretty allocated and hard to find. And we mostly are just doing this for ourselves to see what we actually prefer, what comes out on top, and we'll just pass it along to you. So we're just going to go from lowest proof to highest and see how it turns out.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, our first bottle is Woodford Reserve Double Oaked.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. We're starting with it because it's the lowest proof at 90.4, but I think it's just a great baseline whiskey to start with.
Yes, definitely a favorite of Jonathan's.
The nose is just great.
Yes, I'm like, it's just so good.
It's just tons of caramel.
Yeah.
I'm almost getting like a little bit of a maple note right now that I don't normally get, but I think it just kind of attests to how sweet this whiskey is.
Yes, it leans a little bit more butterscotch in my opinion, but yeah, I think you got the right idea there too.
Yeah, there's not a ton of ethanol or really anything like that on the nose. I think it's
just so sweet.
It's good, yeah.
Yeah, it's like almost like candy.
Yeah, extremely sweet. You can almost tell that it's gonna have like a good mouthfeel just from the nose.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't, again, no ethanol, doesn't smell thin or anything like that.
Yes, very good. Take a sip.
Yeah.
That is very good.
Very good, very sweet.
Yes, I think this is a perfect starter to the double oaked family.
Yes.
I think for sure. If you haven't tried Woodford Reserve Double Oaked, I highly, strongly recommend this bottle. Again, it's one of Jonathan's favorites.
Yeah.
I think just in general, I think this is a great bottle to start with if you've never tried double oak products.
Yeah.
And it's just good overall.
Yeah.
I think any bourbon, this is very good.
Yeah, we can find it at Costco for $40. If you have a Costco that sells liquor near you, I suggest trying to see if they carry it. Otherwise, at most $60. And yeah, when we say baseline double oaked, I think we truly mean it. Like this is kind of what we compare everything against, and because it's just doesn't really have any crazy flaws. It's not the most complex whiskey. It's not going to blow your mind or anything like that, but it's very good at what it does. I will say on the palate and the finish, it continues to be super sweet, super caramel. There's a little bit more proof than you might think just off the nose, but nothing too crazy. And just occasionally I'll get a little bit of that like woody raw oak note. Yeah. But it's really takes a back seat behind the caramel. And I think for me, that is what I'm going to be looking out for during this tasting all 6 of these whiskeys. Is I don't like when double oaks go straight into that lumberyard note.
Yes.
And I think some do a great job of going more in the oak and char and sweetness territory, but some kind of fail into that direction.
I do want to give a quick disclaimer. Also like, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. But our AC broke down, so if you see us sweating buckets up here, it's because we're in not the best working or filming conditions. We're trying our best. Obviously, tune in next time. We should get our AC fixed next week, but just to throw that out there.
We're working through it. Thank you.
All right, the next bourbon up is Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel.
Yeah, we're going up to 94 proof on glass 2.
Yep.
Going over to the Elijah Craig profile. On the nose, I feel like it's actually lighter.
Yes.
Takes more of a backseat than the Woodford.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 proof points is not the biggest in the world. So,
I do smell a tiny bit of ethanol that I didn't in the Woodford Reserve, but I don't know if that's just because it's a little bit of a lighter sweetness than the super caramel heavy Woodford. I don't think I would say just off of the nose that it was a double oak product. I just don't think the sweetness of what I expect there to be is there right now.
Yeah. I'd say if anything, I maybe get a little bit of that like marshmallow sweetness.
Yeah.
Which sometimes comes with like the double oaked and toastiness, but yeah, it's not in your face. It's more of just a light sweetness. And I might just be putting that together in my head.
Yeah. And I do get, you know, a little bit of peanut.
Yeah.
It's very subtle. I would say it's definitely not like the main focus of this bourbon, but it is very, I think I'm very sensitive to the peanut note.
Want to go in for a taste?
Yeah.
It's definitely a more ethanol on the taste and a lot thinner mouthfeel. It's got a little bit more of that standard, like what you'd expect from like a 90-ish bourbon, 90-ish proof bourbon, where it's like got a little bit of the watery effect going on. But again, the Woodford was just so rich and oily.
I don't know, just it's a little bit of peanut, a little bit of caramel, but the taste for me isn't necessarily double oaked.
No, yeah.
So I think it's like throwing me off a little bit just because I expected all these to kind of be very similar.
Yeah.
I know initially when we tried the toasted barrel, we didn't
it wasn't
quite think it was, you know, stacked up to all of the other double oaked. It is a good bourbon on its own, I think, but maybe not the double oak that we'd want. If you're looking for a little bit more subtle, I think this is a good bottle.
Yeah.
But I think just for me, compared to the Woodford, I do prefer, you know, having a very strong note of some kind.
Yeah.
And this one is, just very subtle. On to glass 3, and that is 2XO Innkeeper's Blend.
Completely different on
Yes. Very good smell, for sure.
We are jumping up to 104 proof, so a good 10 proof points.
Yeah. We are also jumping up in price.
Yes.
Quite a bit in price.
These are solidly $90 to $100. Definitely more complex.
Yes, for sure. I feel like I get like subtle hints of vanilla here and there, subtle hints of caramel, but it's almost just like an amalgamation of different sweet smells. So it's kind of hard to kind of pinpoint a specific note.
Yeah.
It definitely doesn't smell, in my opinion, very oaky.
Yeah. It's not crazy oaky, not crazy sweet.
Yeah.
I'd even argue that there's a little bit of rye spice in here. Like, I wouldn't say it's a rye, but I think it could just be those mixes of flavors. But yeah, I'm getting a little bit of that caramel, a little bit of vanilla, like you said. Just a little bit of like baking spice. But
yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Basically, whereas the others, I got a little bit of ethanol. This one is more rye spice. I don't really get any of the ethanol, which is definitely a step up. Yeah,
it's very interesting. I feel like I'm getting like almost like sugar cookie. So I'm curious to see what it tastes like.
Wanna go for it?
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't know about you, but I got hit with the proof.
Peanuts? Yes. 2 P's. Proof and peanuts.
Yes. Yeah. I think the proof is definitely there, for at least for me. I got it right on the front of the palate, even on the finish. And then, it is quite nutty.
It is way more nutty than I expected, especially based off the nose. I think I was expecting, you know, like the sugar cookie or like maybe a little bit of oak in there. But yes, it is a little peanutty. In a good way. I do think it's not quite like the dusty peanut realm. It's more of like honey roasted peanuts. Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's like Jim Beam, like that crazy peanut on steroids, but maybe, again, a little more mellowed out Jim Beam. Like kind of like how the Elijah Craig was kind of a mellowed out Elijah Craig. It, like, the peanut is definitely there. That's clearly...
Yes.
They sourced
you can't get away from it,
They sourced this whiskey from some distillery that has that note. There's a few that do.
I do think this is a great bourbon on its own. But yeah, I think with literally the brand calling itself 2XO, I would hope for just a little bit more flavor.
And 2XO is supposed to mean 2 times oak. Everything is double oaked from them.
Our next bottle is Peerless Double Oak.
Yeah, this is our first true barrel proof. The 2XO is technically watered down a little bit. And in case you're curious, this is batch 10. It is 109.8 proof. Or sorry, 108.8 proof.
Nice. Let's hop into it.
Get into it. Another premium and still pretty hard to find bottle.
Yeah.
It's going to run you $80 to $100. Very dark on the nose.
Yes. I feel like just seeing it next to the last glass, it also is very dark. Like this is in our lineup. This was one of the darker ones, so immediately I'm like, "Oh, dark means good." So
no water added, and in a barrel for a lot more time.
Yes, I feel like you can smell it.
Yeah, it's very dark. It does have a little bit more of that raw wood note, at least to me.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's just me. Like it's funny because it is dark and charry, but also a little bit of that fresh wood. It's kind of
I can see it. I always kind of put that in like a synonymous with like campfire.
Yeah.
Just because it's like that charred wood note in my opinion. So like kind of reminds me of like a little bit of a bonfire. Again,
maybe a little bit of that rye / ethanol spice on the nose.
Yeah, I agree.
We're definitely getting acclimated to it, like going up in proof, but I think it's still there.
I do think it smells sweet though. I don't think I don't think we've mentioned that part yet, but I would say probably more toward like a brown sugar in my opinion.
I think that's a good call. Want to give it a taste?
Yeah, let's do it. I think this one is pretty deep. Like it is very oaky in my opinion, which is kind of what I want. I mean,
it's what you sign up for.
Yeah. I think it's also pretty sweet, but also extremely hot. Like, it is a barrel proof for sure.
I feel like I keep saying it, and again, we're going up in proof gradually, but this one really hit me right when I swallowed.
Yes.
A lot of proof, and this is just, it's barrel proof whiskey. It tastes like it. I think it tastes a lot higher than 108 proof.
Yes.
I would totally guess at least 125. Maybe I'm a little crazy for that, but that's what I feel.
No, it totally gives me similar vibes to the Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rye. Yeah. Which is kind of funny. Yeah. I mean, maybe the bourbon too, but I do think it has that rye spice note to it. Yeah. And I do think the Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rye is
char.
Yeah, char. It leans very just marshmallow, campfire, toasted. So I can see them kind of being more similar than I expected any of these to taste like.
Yeah. I like it, but I think if you love something like a Woodford Double Oaked and you just want that at barrel proof, that this is not quite that. This is a different experience, a different version of Double Oak. It's a lot more, like you said, a lot more of that oak and wood and char.
In your face, just very just punchy.
Yeah, it's not crazy caramel, crazy sweet, anything like that. It's an aggressive bourbon.
Our fifth bottle is Penelope Toasted Barrel Strength.
Yeah, and for anyone curious, this is a Char 2 heavy toast, aged 3 to 5 years and batch 16. I believe it's an older bottle that somehow one of our local liquor stores got in.
Yeah.
A little chalky, a little thick and oily, which is usually good, but it's like thick in a cough syrup way. And that like my body is just immediately like, that doesn't taste good.
I could see it. I think, in my opinion, that note is kind of just artificial sweetness. Like if you've ever had, you know, like a Chick-fil-A or a Del Taco iced coffee, they kind of have that, you know, just kind of an artificial, like, vanilla taste to them. And I know Jonathan hates that
it's very
note.
sharp. Yeah.
So, it's just very sharp and just kind of aggressive. Should we give it a taste?
Yeah.
Ooh. I don't think I like this one. Oh, man.
We debated even putting this in this lineup because we've had it a couple of times and it just has this really weird note on it. I don't know if it's representative of all toasted Penelopes or if again there's like something wrong with this bottle. It's tainted. Yeah. It's like an older release. But it tastes medicinal in a bad way. There are some bourbons that have a medicinal cherry note that we still like because it is just like a cherry flavoring. But this, it's really hard to describe. And if you do try to describe it, it almost sounds like positives. Like we said, like it's got like a thick mouthfeel. It's like a little oily. It's got some like syrupy sweetness, but it's just, it comes off, again, like my body just thinks it's like bad medicine. And I don't know what to do about it.
Oh my gosh. It literally assaulted my tongue. it just wraps it in this coating of just like harsh, just, yeah, it tastes like a chemical. Like it's not right. Like that's what makes us think this bottle is just not good anymore. Like it's just, unless that's what y'all like. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. You Penelope fans, let me know. I just like, that literally coated my tongue in some of the worst tasting notes that I've ever had.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. All right, the last bottle we'll be tasting is this Nulu Toasted Bourbon.
Yeah, this is a single barrel pick by Bourbon Finds. We tried to keep the other ones as like the standard releases, but most Nulus are single barrels, or at least like very small batches. So there's not a great way to get it to be exactly how you're gonna taste it, but this is the bottle we got. It's our most recent pickup out of this lineup, and we just want to see how it stacks up.
Exactly.
This is 122 proof and about 7 years old. But on the nose, I wouldn't guess it's that much higher than the rest of these.
Yeah, it smells very sweet, but I think in like a marshmallowy sweetness type of way. I would say definitely not caramel. Like I just like, it's not, none of these I feel like go in the Woodford Reserve direction.
Yes. I will say it still smells rich to me on the nose. Like a rich sweetness. Again, not necessarily dark or caramel, but it smells rich. There's not a lot of ethanol, but there's a good amount of flavor. Yeah.
And I do think, what's funny is after like smelling all of these, I do think this smells completely different.
Yeah.
And there's actually just like this small faint funk for me.
Oh, interesting.
Which is almost kind of like milk.
Oh, okay.
So I'm getting like milky, creamy.
Okay.
Like creamy, I think is a good term for that. It's just like, just a tiny little funk. Yeah. I think it's like it's not enough to steer me in a direction of like the Penelope where I'm just like, I really don't like this. And I want to like this, but it is interesting.
Probably the first one where the proof didn't take me by surprise. I mean, it is a barrel proof. Yeah. It is a 120 proof bourbon, but the flavor stands up to the proof on this one. Whereas I feel like a lot of these kind of got lost, where the proof took over a little bit too much. It was a little bit too much rye spice, or even like bitter oak, or like things like that. This just stayed consistently strong sweetness.
Yes. I think I'd like to go in for another sip, but I do think initially what I got was just so sweet.
Yeah.
Almost like when you have a really candied cereal and you drink the milk. Like it is that type of sweetness. Mm-hmm. I think I keep going back to this milk, but yeah, it's like, it's kind of like a creamy, like
I think
sweetness.
It does have like a really thick mouthfeel.
Yes.
Kind of on the oily side. And I could see it being creamy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more of a mouthfeel thing, less of a taste thing, at least for me. It's just a very sweet, good bourbon.
Yeah.
Maybe in my dreams it could be a little bit more in that caramel direction. But it's really good.
It's really good.
You want to just, this is the last bottle. Do you want to just do some tasting off camera, nail down our rankings, and come back?
Yeah, let's do it. So we took a moment and finalized our rankings. Yes. You want to get into it?
Let's do it.
All right. So my 6th place bottle is, probably won't come as a surprise, but it is the Penelope. So.
And I fully agree. This was just pretty by far the worst bottle in the list. Something just off about it. Yeah, it's just wrong. Again, let us know if that is the real taste. Yeah. If you have a different experience, let us know. Maybe we'll buy a different bottle or something like that. Exactly. But for us, not even close. Yeah. All right. On to 5th place. So my 5th place is actually 2XO. Yeah. So. And this is where I started to disagree. That was actually my 3rd place. I think for you, that peanut note was just a little too crazy, right? Yeah, I think it was just a little too one-noted for me. Yeah. I mean, I know you might not be factoring in price, but for $100, I don't want that bottle. Like, I think there are other alternatives that are a lot better. I think I was definitely, slightly disappointed for the price, but I still, when I did the back and forth, I found that's the bottle I would be going back to more than the bottles below it.
That makes sense.
That's kind of how it worked out for me.
Yep. All right. So my fourth place is actually Elijah Craig.
Yeah. I ended up putting that as 5th place. So very similar.
Yeah.
I don't know how you felt, but I felt like it just didn't really serve a purpose for me. It is just fine. It was very drinkable, but not a lot going on. And it's not exactly a budget bottle. If maybe it was in like the $35 range, like just a little bit step up from normal Elijah Craig, I could see a use case, but at like $60.
Yeah, I could see it. I think for me, just 2XO was just not good enough.
Yeah.
To be in that spot for me. So
I think it's a fair ranking.
Yeah, I think middle of the road, I think is fine. All right. So my 3rd place bottle is kind of surprising to me. I thought it might rank a little higher for me. But that is Woodford Reserve. Yeah,
the Woodford Double Oak. I ended up putting that in 2nd place. Probably not a surprise. That is one of my favorite bottles. And I think it just makes us feel good tasting through the whole lineup that we're justified recommending it a lot and putting it in a lot of lists and showing it to new people. Like, it does hold its own. And it's the best budget double oak. I know none of these are dirt cheap, but it just does great.
No, I completely agree. I think it's a great bottle. And if you haven't tried it, go out and try it. Awesome. So my 2nd place is actually the Nulu.
And for me, this was the winner. Again, for me, because like I said, maybe earlier in the review, when I'm looking for a barrel-proof double oak, I want it to be Woodford Reserve amped up. And although it wasn't crazy caramel, it was the closest to doing that. I got none of that bitter dryness or anything like that. Really enjoyed it. Yeah,
I totally agree. I think the last time we tried it, I had tried it right after another bottle. That was maybe not my favorite, so I did way prefer this one.
Yeah.
But after actually tasting it next to a lot of the double oak bourbons, I didn't think it was my winner. Yeah. I think there was a clear winner for me. But yeah, I feel like that they're not very far apart. It was tough. I did, taste them back and forth, and I think there was a clear winner for me.
Yeah.
But needless to say, I think the other one is just as good.
Yeah.
And my winner is Peerless Double Oak.
And this is where we definitely get far apart because Peerless for me was my 4th place. It's your winner. Get it.
Yeah, so I think, for me, it just stood up. I think it's one of those that packed the most punch. And for me, what I really like about double oak bourbons is that they're so flavor forward.
Yeah.
And I think this one, in my opinion, had the most flavor.
Yeah.
And I could see myself going back to that one more, as opposed to maybe some of these other ones. I do think all of your rankings are extremely fair.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of surprised how different our rankings were, because I do feel like a lot of the times we do have more similar palettes.
We do. We're not just agreeing with each other for the heck of it. We do have very similar palettes, and I think this really kind of showed
a little bit of variation.
Our dividing lines. And I think the one note to take away is probably that, in our opinion, Woodford is the best value.
Yes, absolutely.
If you're going to try any of these and you just want to dip your toes into double oak, that's where you should start. And I think that's definitely true.
I agree. And I think with the Nulu, I love this one. I think it's very good. But they are single barrel. So there could be other ones out there that I might not like as much. So if you want something that is a little bit more tried and true, maybe try the Peerless, the one that I liked the most.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, let us know if you like this format, what kind of whiskey you want us to find the best of next. And just thank you for watching. Tune in next week. We'll have another video every Monday. And next time, hopefully with better AC.
Yes, absolutely. It's hot in here, so we're going to go. Thank you. Bye.